Hello, everybody. How is it going? So good to see you today. I'm glad that you tuned in to today's lesson. Let me go ahead and give you the big idea. When you log in during this time, fourth grade, we're going to be looking at bridges. Today, we are going to be talking about suspension bridges. That's right. That's what we're going to be talking about. That's why I'm wearing all of the suspension here right here. Now, on our trip to Waco, we had a couple of bridges that we actually came across. This is my family and I when we went to Waco here locally. And now this one here, of course, is a arch truss bridge here that is in Waco. But what is pretty neat is I don't know if you can see my mouse, but down here over here, there's actually a suspension and a beam bridge. There's actually all three bridges, most common bridges, right next to each other. So here is the suspension bridge. This is Waco's famous suspension bridge. Let me get a little closer. This is actually a 3D design that I found online of the company in Waco that actually built it, or someone actually made a model of it. And actually today's point, and any time that we have this time together, I want you to pay close attention to the details of each bridge. In this case, the suspension bridge. I want you to notice the patterns. Kind of pay close attention to those things. Like, for example, in the details and the patterns that I notice, of course, are the triangles, are the parallel lines. So here's a picture of the underneath. I mean, I didn't get a really good angle, but as you can see, there's some really huge support beams. It's not a bridge for cars. This is not a bridge for vehicles. This is a bridge for people to just, or bicycles, just kind of walk back and forth. What is your perspective of this bridge? What are you noticing? What are you noticing? Patterns and details. All right, so now this is my hand, and this is one set of cables. I mean, it is really, really big. They're really, really big. Now, I do have a really neat website that I want to share with you right now. Wonder number 2128. And this is called Are You Brave Enough to Cross the Bridge? So here's a couple of the questions. Says, are you brave enough to cross a rope bridge? So here's a picture of a rope bridge right here. I'll show you some more in a second. How do you make a rope bridge? That's another question. And do people still make rope bridges today? Here's some more pictures of some rope bridges. Now, I'm wondering, what is your perspective? What do you think about? Would you cross one of these bridges? Would you be brave enough? This one out. I don't know. I don't know if it can hold me. That's a good question. Now, some of you might have done something like this, maybe at Urban Air. I've seen some of those areas where you can actually hold on, through a cable system. That's always suspension. Now, I have this video here, and I want to show it to you because the other wonder was, do people still make rope bridges? Isn't that just so cool? I want us to, and you can stop the video if you need to, and get some paper, just regular paper is fine. And you can get some markers. I got 4 different colors. I got blue, red, orange, and green. So this is called a frame. So if you remember, right in the middle, we put what we are studying. So in this case, it's going to be suspension bridges. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to divide this into 4 sections. So and then what we're going to do is that we're going to be drawing the icons, the 4 icons. We're going to look at our perspective, and then we're looking at the details. And that's just a flower. So as we're reading the article, if you see a perspective of how people like or don't like the bridge, or how they're amazed by it, or as you see the flower, just the details, just tell me the details that are being spoken of. Suspension bridges. We're going to look, of course, at patterns that we notice as we read, or patterns that you remember as you look at suspension bridges. And then we're going to look at the language of the discipline. In other words, what kind of words do experts use when they are describing the bridges? So put suspension bridges in the middle, details, multiple perspective, patterns, and language of the discipline. And this middle one here, if you want, I know some of you probably already said this, but that's going to be our big idea. That's what we are studying. And parents, these icons are simply a visual representation of what we want the kids to think. All right, so you go ahead and pause the video so that you can get that together, and then we'll come back and unpause the video so that you can continue listening to the article. Now, what I like about Wonderopolis is that anything that is in green and underlined, you can actually click onto it and it takes you somewhere else. And anything that is highlighted in yellow is actually a word that an expert would probably use when it comes to this topic, which in this case is bridges. So you can actually just, the word is hover your mouse over it and it can give you the definition. For example, span is distance or interval between 2 points. Today, bridges are everywhere. They span rivers, lakes, and streams. They cross deep valleys. They even allow you to drive over the highway in lanes of traffic. Made from concrete or steel, most bridges are solid. So again, for example, here, this would be a great detail. We don't give a second thought to walking or driving over them. That wasn't always the case in the past, though. The first bridges ever created were likely small logs placed over creeks and streams. It probably didn't take long for early humans to develop the first bridges made of natural materials, such as ropes made from tall grasses. The simplest rope bridge consists of just 2 cables stretched across a valley or a body of water. 1 cable to stand on and 1 cable to hold on to with your hands. Since these can be tricky to navigate, additional cables to hold onto were eventually added. Connecting the cable to you stand on to the cable used by your hands with ropes can also create additional stability. Rope bridges were used extensively by the ancient Incas. They lived in South America, rugged Andes mountains, which were filled with deep gorges. To travel efficiently across these gorges, the Incas built suspension bridges. And if we click on it, you can actually go to that link, but you can do so in your own time. Made of ropes, they move from natural fibers, such as animal hair, grass, and cotton. Again, these are great details of what those fibers are made of. And if you look at patterns, again, ropes and different kinds of style of fibers. Language of the discipline, what I like about it is that you have words over here as well, that you can copy those into your frame. Let's continue. if you walked across a rope bridge, you already know they can sway or move slowly back and forth. This can be a scary experience for some people. Again, that goes back to that multiple perspective. To some people, they were not scared, but some, this could be a scary experience. The Incas, however, thrived with their rope bridges, so that's their perspective. They didn't have wheel vehicles, but their rope bridges were used for foot traffic by both animals and humans and animals. The downside of using natural fibers to make rope bridges was that these biodegradable materials, and that means capable of being decomposed by bacteria. In other words, they didn't last very long. They decayed over time. This meant that rope bridges often had to be rebuilt every year. It means that the Incas' rope bridges are all gone, except for one. And I'm gonna try, Quesahuachaca is a rope bridge that spans the Apurimac River near the town of Inchuri in Peru. Every year, for about the last 600 years, a group of over 1,000 people from 4 nearby Quechua communities come together to rebuild the bridge in a special ritual that has been included in the UNESCO's World Heritage List. Woven out of local jaraba ichu grass, also known as feather grass because of its thin, delicate blades, the cables formed by twisting together many strands of grass are incredibly strong. So again, patterns, there's some patterns, there's some details here. The bridge can hold approximately 5,000 pounds. That's another great detail there. It's another great fact. And transport both humans and llamas across the gorge. Now think about it, 5,000 pounds. That's incredible. A modern bridge spans the river not far away. However, local communities still gather together every June to rebuild the bridge as a means to maintain a connection to their ancestors who lived in the area when the region featured more than 200 similar rope bridges made of grass. And there's a bridge almost, a couple of maybe 100 yards or so, maybe even not that far, but because their perspective, they're saying, we still want to hold value. That is something that we want to continue teaching our children so it won't get lost. That to them is very, very special. All right, so now what I want you to notice here is that there are some links. Now, I already looked at the first one, wasn't too impressed by it, but I did like the last two. But I want you to just, on your own time, once you finish the frame, if you have some time, I want you to check out how now, over time, how things have changed, because now there's even drones that are used to build bridges. So for example, here, look at how the drones are being engineered to build suspension bridges. And that's incredible. I'm gonna stop it there so whenever you have a chance that you can look at it. And then also there is an ethical perspective here when it comes to suspension bridges, because look at this article. There's a bridge that can help revive the squirrel glider population. And the animals use these kinds of bridges. So see, here are the birds and the squirrels. They can even travel themselves. Suspension bridges, they're everywhere. They're not just for cars and for, people. They can be used even for animals. I hope you enjoyed this lesson today. Take a look, a peek one more time at my frame here, and you complete it. Take a picture if you don't mind. Send it to us if you have a chance. If you can't, no big deal. Just simply keep that to you and share it with someone in your family. And then if you do have a chance, check out those other articles. We'll put the link down below so that you can look at Wonderopolis and check out those links. And I wonder what will be the future. Drones are right now, but I wonder what happens after that. All right, take care. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.